I want to begin this discussion about membership by restating the fabulous situation that you and all other humans are now in. Actually, I've just got to begin this by playing some of Jerry Lee Lewis's Long Tall Sally from his famous 1964 performance at the Star Club in Hamburg, Germany, which Wikipedia says many music journalists regard as one of the greatest rock and roll concerts ever. I know that such excitement and happiness may seem insensitive to all the suffering in the world, but honestly, this joy and enthusiasm is not out of place, because the cavalry is coming. Well, that's the phrase used in the old cowboys and Indians folklore. In more contemporary Star Wars terms, the force is coming. Everything is possible now. Help is on its way to every person in every corner of the world. Love has come to the world in its absolute purest form, namely as relieving understanding. We humans are free now of the agony of the human condition. Everyone, in every situation and predicament, can now rise up as radiant new beings from their corpse-like state. A great rising up of humans will now occur across the world. Everyone is now able to come back to life, to wake up from a human condition afflicted torpor and look outwards and see each other and the world for the first time, and move across and help each other and do anything and everything that needs to be done to end the suffering and pain that's plaguing this planet. The great awakening of the human race is on. We humans have in truth all been asleep, owned by so much pain and suffering. Certainly we're going to be in shock for a little while, absorbing the realization that we have finally won our freedom from the agony of the human condition. But it's on, the great awakening, the rising up of the human race from a deep slumber. From the festering, stalled state it has been in for far too long, waiting for these liberating understandings of the human condition, the human race is finally on its way. What did Doug Lobbin say in his affirmation in section 3.4 of his presentation? I've got this image of marching straight forward with incredible purpose, straight out of a massive swamp into long green grass with flowers and butterflies and sunshine, and never ever looking back, just keeping marching forward. Everyone together, we're going to have so much fun. Yes, the door is wide open and sunshine is now streaming into our world. We can all wake up now. We can all break out of our chrysalis, our human condition afflicted straitjacket, where we've been sort of constrained, and let the wings of our true potential unfold in the sunshine of relieving understanding to reveal the fabulously beautiful creatures we really are. As I've explained in part 3.4, our species' original, natural, instinctive state is to be cooperative, loving and selfless. We have a cooperative, loving, moral soul. And this means that serving others is our original, natural, instinctive, soulful inclination. But of course, it's had to be ruthlessly oppressed by our conscious intellects because of its naive, unjust criticism of our conscious mind search for knowledge. But that horrible and tragic situation is now over, which means our original, natural, soulful, true self can re-emerge. So behaving selflessly is our natural inclination. It's a capacity that's been sitting inside us, waiting for the time when it could be liberated, which has at last arrived. I know this amazing situation will at first seem a little odd because it's been such a long time getting to this point. where we could genuinely abandon the upsetting battle that the human race has been involved in, and let our unconditionally loving, selfless, soulful, true selves free. So it does take a little bit of effort to let go of our habituated but now obsoleted egocentric, must prove ourselves, power, fame, fortune and glory-seeking way of living, and bring the incredibly loving side of ourselves to the fore. However, it's really not that difficult a step to take, because once a few people discover this amazingly free, alive, sensitive to and aware of everything for the first time in our lives, transformed life force way of living, a discovery that that has already occurred in the WTM, as all the affirmations by the members in Section 3 evidence, it will catch on and spread like wildfire. The Jesuit priest and scientist Teilhard de Chardin recognised, this when he said, the truth has to appear only once for it to be impossible for anything ever to prevent it from spreading universally and setting everything ablaze. So it's on. Humanity is coming home. Our real self is going to come thundering through to the forefront now, and the world will open up for everybody, and everyone will help everyone else. We can leave our old ego embattled lives behind now and metamorphose into free, empowered, life force beings. Now, this is not some dream I'm having. I haven't lost my mental marbles or something. It's 100% dinky dye, true blue, solid gold, ice, diamond, real, what I'm saying. We are free now. Listen to Jerry Lee again. I'll tell you something. When I had my furniture business, I lived near a country town where there was a large Seventh-day Adventist Christian community. Now, living for their faith rather than for themselves, and selflessly supporting and helping each other and working together, it was amazing how functional and successful they were. I think they ran most of the successful businesses in the town, and I know they owned a lot of the real estate. And yet the overall situation in the valley where the town was located was like everywhere else in the world, essentially sad and lonely, with the good old boys of the town huddled together in pubs, drowning their angst with alcohol and betting on the horses to try and get a win for their embattled egos, and their unhappy obese women folk at home screaming at the kids, and in the streets just dust and sparrows. Well, imagine you're in that valley, walking around in those depressed streets, where there's a group of Seventh-day Adventists defying the great oppressive shadow of life under the duress of the human condition by getting together and being selfless and thus to some degree functional. But basically life for humans is still all drab and depressed. And then you look up towards the skyline and you see something absolutely amazing coming towards you. From one end of the horizon to the other, an army in its millions appear of transformed, human condition, liberated, empowered people living for each other and for the world, because their old egocentric existence has finally been obsoleted, put away forever, gone, done its job, finished with. The point is, in all the false starts to a human condition-free world, and they were false starts because the upsetting, battle-defying, liberating understanding of human condition still had to continue, such as in the communal functionality of the Seventh-day Adventist community I mentioned, or an example I mentioned in section 1.12 of the functionality of Ned Flanders' Christian life compared to Homer Simpson's. We can see the rudiments, the prototype of the huge potential of the selfless, ego-eliminated, transformed life force way of living. There have been so many examples of the cooperative, amazingly functional way of living in all the false starts to a new world for humans that have been occurring sort of regularly throughout history. I mean, humanity's been chafing at the bit, obviously, to get to the new world. But it is only now that the upsetting battle to find liberating understanding of the human condition has been won, that the human race as a whole leaves the old individualistic, egocentric, power, fame, fortune and glory-seeking way of living. It's only now that we're going to see the true power and all-out and all-pervading selfless communalism come into being. And again, this vision I'm describing of the liberation of the whole human race from the horror of the self-obsessed, must prove our worth, egocentric way of living is not some mad dream I'm having. It's a vision, a hope and faith that the whole of the human race has firmly held since our journey to overcome ignorance about our true worth as humans first began some 2 million years ago. As I mentioned before, in the Bible, the prophet Joel perfectly anticipated the vision of our species' liberation from the human condition when he said, like dawn spreading across the mountains, a large and mighty army comes, such as never was of old, nor ever will be in ages to come. Before them the land is like Garden of Eden, behind them a desert waste. Nothing escapes them. They have the appearance of horses. They gallop along like cavalry, with a noise like that of chariots, like a mighty army. They all march in line, not swerving from their course. They do not jostle each other. I know the exact same vision of our species' liberation from the human condition and the emergence of amazingly so cooperative, loving, selfless, functional, empowered, nothing is too difficult new world. It was also given by the prophet Isaiah when he said, he lifts up a banner, in other words, the human race finds understanding. For the distant nations, he whistles for those at the ends of the earth. Here they come, swiftly and speedily. Not one of them grows tired or stumbles. Not one of them slumbers or sleeps. Not a belt is loosened at the waist, nor a sandal thong broken. Their arrows are sharp, all their bows are strung. Their horses' hooves seem like flint, their chariot wheels like a whirlwind. Their roar is like that of a lion. They roar like young lions. They growl as they seize their prey and carry it off with no one to rescue. In that day, they will roar over it like the roaring of the sea. And the same vision appears in U2's songs. I still haven't found what I'm looking for, where Bono sang, I believe in Kingdom Come, where all the colours will bleed into one. In Where the Streets Have No Name, which says, they're beaten and blown by the wind, we're beaten and blown by the wind, trampled in dust, but I'll show you a place high on a desert plain where the streets have no name. That is, where humans no longer have to egocentrically own and name everything. Then there will be no toil or sorrow, there will be no time of pain. And when love comes to town, which includes the lines, I was a sailor, I was lost at sea, I was under the waves. But I did what I did before love, which in the form of truth, understanding, came to town. I've seen love, that is truth, conquer the great divide between good and evil. When love comes to town, I'm going to jump that train. Because, as the singer-songwriter Cat Stevens foresaw, out on the edge of darkness rides a peace train that has last arrived to take us home again. The Australian rock band Hunters and Collectors' 1993 song Holy Grail perfectly describes the vision of humanity's liberation. Woke up this morning from the strangest dream. I was in the biggest army the world had ever seen. We were marching as one on the road to the Holy Grail. Started out seeking fortune and glory. It's a short song, but a hell of a story. When you spend your lifetime trying to get your hands on the Holy Grail. Well, have you heard about the Great Crusade? We ran into millions and nobody got paid. Yeah, we raised the four corners of the globe for the Holy Grail. All the locals scattered, they were hiding in the snow. We were so far from home, so how were we to know? There'd be nothing left to plunder when we stumbled on the Holy Grail. This vision, the hope, the faith, the belief in humanity's eventual liberation from the human condition has been there within us all since time immemorial. And all the false starts to that fabulous future that have been occurring throughout history serve to reveal just how much humanity has hungered for its arrival. And they also serve to show how gloriously functional an egoless existence for humans is going to be. The Apostle St. Paul gave possibly the best sales pitch ever for Christianity when he compared Christianity, where you deferred to the embodiment of the ideals in Christ, and by so doing made you feel you were good or righteous. He compared that with the previous best way of coping with the upset state of the human condition, which was Moses' 10 Commandments, where you restrained your upset out of fear of punishment. St. Paul said, "Now, if the ministry that brought death, which was engraved in letters and stone, came with glory," this is 2 Corinthians 3, glorious because those laws restrained excessive upset and by so doing brought society back from the brink of destruction. Fading though it was, there was no sustaining positive in having to discipline you, imposed on you. Will not the ministry of the Spirit be even more glorious? If the ministry that condemns men is glorious, how much more glorious is the ministry that brings righteousness? For what was glorious has no glory now in comparison to the surpassing glory. Well, if religion was an infinitely more glorious way of living than living out of fear of punishment, the new surpassing glory to religion, the transformed way of living, which the ending of the battle to find understanding the human condition brings, is so wonderful, so glorious, that it is completely beyond any comparison with any way of living conscious humans have ever experienced. The glory that comes to the human race now is unimaginably exciting. Well, what did Beethoven's symphony say? Joyful as a hero to victory. Join in our jubilation. We enter drunk with fire into your sanctuary. Your magic reunites. All men become brothers, all good and all bad. Be embraced millions, the kiss for the whole world. So the message is clear. Become a member of the World Transformation Movement and join in our jubilation. Don't miss out on the most exciting event in the history of the world.